here I'm just getting my molds ready for slip casting. I gotta get some better elastics. These ones are a bit too small. The first kind of step is to, since it's a multi-part mold, it's just to use some elastics to kind of secure the mold. So we're gonna have to flip it upside down at a later point here. Whoop. Okay. That one's ready to pour. And that's for the lid. And just clean up a sec here. And the second part's for the female threading of the travel mug. Yeah, I don't have an example down here. I'll quickly go get an example of what we're making. Alright, so just to show what we're making here, it's kind of finished product. And kind of neat thing about it is it's got a threaded lid. So then it's like fully ceramic lid rather than a plastic one. I got a O-ring along the top here to seal it. I gotta kind of polish the threading a little bit more because this one's still a little squeaky. But there is kind of grinding paste you can use to polish that a bit to make it not so loud. But overall, I'm happy with how it turned out. There's a couple things I want to fix for this next round that we're doing right now. Is one of them is I want to kind of cut a groove on the inside a bit more for a better seating of that O-ring. It looks fine with a gap like that. Maybe with a different color O-ring it would look better having a little gap, but it'd be nice if it sat with a kind of a smaller gap between the lid and the seat there. And what was the other thing I was going to fix? Just fix the form a little bit. Also, I went a little narrow on the throwing on this one. So the volume isn't great. I think this one's about 150 mils. I want to get it to at least 200. That's kind of about the size of a cup of coffee I normally have. And with the slip cast or slip trailing, probably do something similar, maybe a little bit more pronounced. Kind of the main reason for the slip trailing is kind of act like it was a bit of a cozy. It's only single walled, so it keeps your hand a little bit further away from the hot surface. Lets air kind of get under your fingers, and also a little bit thicker ceramic over where the dots are. So it does actually work decently to make it not too hot on your hands. Some of these I went bigger than others, so I want to try to go a little bigger on some of these during the slip trailing. Should get to that today. What else? I think that's the gist of it. This piece here, you can see on the form. I'll try to hold it so you can see it. On the profile there, it kind of goes out and then in. I want to fix that. The way I'll do that is I threw the body a little bit too large a diameter. So then when I was attaching, I had to actually push it back in to match up with the inner diameter of the threading. And I thought I'd be able to trim it out, but I wasn't able to completely. So I'm going to aim to fix that today as well. And then the glaze color. I put a little bit too thin a glaze on here, so it went more brown than green. That's basically what happens with this glaze. If it goes too thin, got a red clay body, which has a lot of iron in it. So if you don't have thick enough glaze that iron will actually come out of the clay body and kind of act as a colorant in your glaze. Where I want this to be a copper glaze and get more of this green color. Right here is a little too thick, but generally, let's see, should look more like that color in here over the whole thing. So a few things to fix. Give it a try on this round. Be right back. Okay, so like I said, first step, get the molds ready. I made these a while ago. It's been a bit of a process with on and off motivation. So it's been a while. I made these, I guess, in the last spring. I have some videos, some reels on Instagram to show how those were made. Probably do some tweaks to the design at some point, redo these molds. In that case, I'll do a proper live video and the works, I guess. Show full steps rather than just full 1 minute reels. Pretty fun process. I definitely enjoyed making the molds. It's quite a bit of work, but good to at least know how to do it. I think, anyways. Oh, need new elastics. These will be fine. This one, I don't have to flip upside down. It's actually a solid mold, so as long as it's just kind of good enough. Okay. Okay, so we got two types of molds here. Oh, out of camera. Two types of molds here. This one's a solid mold, so we'll pour the slip in and just wait until it's completely leather hard, and it will fill the entire mold. The second type of slip cast mold we have here is, I don't know if there's a proper name, but it's basically a hollow mold. So you pour the slip in, wait a given amount of time until the slip is that leather hard and about the thickness you'd need it to be, and then we'll pour the slip out, and that leaves like a shell of slip on the outside, and then you wait until that's completely dry, not completely dry, leather hard, and then remove the mold, and then you just have kind of the outer shell rather than a solid mold. So we're going to do both. So I want my threading to be solid, and I want plastic here. No, that's not a broken one. I want the lid to be hollow. First step, mix up some, well, not mix up, but I already have some slip mixed up here, but it's probably going to be a little, needs to make some, homogenize it. I do that with just a regular immersion blender that you would use for cooking. This one's a bit broken, so it needs assembly. Shockingly, these don't like mixing clay very much. Put the blade in. Seems all right. Oh, this thing's gonna break soon, I think. Oh well. Break more, I mean. Oh, we're probably gonna have to add some what's it called? Some deflocculant, because it's quite thick. Gonna help split it back up again. Oh, we don't want hard pieces going in there, falling off the lid. lost my blade there. Sec. Unplugged. Chop my finger. It's hard to line up. It's broken here. One sec. One sec. Sorry, just a moment. Sorry, technical difficulties here. Almost time to buy a new one, I think. There we go. Got it. I think while we're at it, we'll mix up some deflocculant. Probably going to need it. So I use sodium silicate as a deflocculant. I think a lot of people use Darvan, like 7 or something. I just happen to have sodium silicate on hand for a different idea. And I didn't have Darvan, so I started just using this. And it seems to work well. You just gotta, I think it's pretty strong deflocculant, so you're gonna mix it up with water to kind of water it down a little bit. Just putting safety glasses on. Don't want this in my eyes. Okay, see, it's pretty thick stuff. It's kind of like corn syrup. That's about all you need. Is really strong. If you're already kind of this well kind of mixed. Just gonna add some water. Oops. Probably too much water. Because that just to kind of dilute that deflocculant out. It's really strong stuff. So you just add it bit by bit while you're mixing it. If you go too much, then your stuff won't set, which is definitely a bummer. You pour the mold out and it all comes out. Don't put enough, and it's too thick to even get into your mold. So you got to kind of find the happy spot. You're using a slick clay that you bought, then there'll be recipes for it. For instance, I was using a white clay Plainsman M370, and that has a recipe online exactly how much water to add, how much deflocculant to add to the given amount of clay, and it comes out perfect pretty much every time. In this case, wasn't able to find a red clay, red slip casting clay. by this company, by Plainsman. So I just made it out of the stuff I use for throwing, which is M390. The problem is it's pretty high plastic, which is nice for throwing, but it's not great for making casting slip out of. It gels and it has a high shrink rate. But I got it to work well enough. Just need a tiny bit of this, I think. Mainly just trying to get the chunks out of it right now. Mixing that sodium silicate I just added. I want that really well mixed. Okay, check out the consistency here. Better. See, I don't know. This is only third time casting with this stuff, so I'm still kind of trial and error right now. You can kind of see how it's dripping off the blender here. I think I want it thick because I went too thin the first couple times. So I want to go as thick as possible. That will still kind of flow into the mold and not have a bunch of bubbles. So I think that's pretty good. All right. Should be good. Just gotta clean this up for a sec. I don't want this everywhere. Just cleaning my blender here, so it's way easier to clean while it's wet than when it dries. So. One more minute. We'll pour the slip into the mold. Okay. Clean up the counter a little bit on the bench. Hello. I can just show you what we're making here. Yeah, slip casting, and then there'll be some wheel throwing too. I'll show you what we're making. Okay, this is the final product here. It's a travel mug that has a threaded top. I gotta polish the threads a bit more, it's still a bit squeaky. but you can see here, yeah, we got threading on the lid. I got an O-ring to seal it. Basically, I 3D printed the lid and then made this slip cast mold out of the 3D print. And then we've got a second slip cast for the female threading here, which, yeah, is this kind of section here. And then that gets attached to a thrown body. So I throw this part, attach the female threading, and then just kind of tidy up the lid. And then once they're both kind of leather hard, then just kind of work the two together to make sure the threading fits and everything. And then, then I got some slip trailing that I do on the side here, mainly because originally I wanted double walled. I was trying a double walled version, like by slip casting the body, but it was really hard to get that out of like a long kind of tall narrow form out of the slip mold. So I don't know, I kind of prefer throwing the body, but unfortunately it makes it single walled, so it could be a little hot on your hands. But that's why the slip trailing, it kind of acts as a bit of a cozy. And this is the first one I've got kind of to work, so yeah, I've been testing it out. It's pretty good. It's not too hot on the hands with the slip trailing, so that's kind of the main reason, and it looks kind of neat. So yeah, I just basically put together the molds and then mixed up my slip here using red clay, which isn't ideal in this case because it's a throwing clay, which is pretty high plastic. I think most slip casting clays are pretty low plastic, so then they don't gel as much as this. I think there's quite a bit of bentonite in here. And then also, it doesn't shrink as much. But I managed to get this to work. I like the red clay. That's what I use for throwing all the time, so I wanted to get it to work. Seems like it got it. Thank you. Okay, so first step. Well, we got, sorry, I'll back up one. Two types of molds. The lid one is kind of a hollow mold, so I'll pour the slip in, wait, I think like 30 minutes, and then pour it out. And that will create just a hollow mold. The threading on the bottom, it's going to be a solid mold, so I just pour it in. Pour it in and then just wait till it's pretty much leather hard. So that one's pretty easy. So I'll start with this one. Oh, some chunks on the outside of my bucket. Dry chunks, don't want that. Oh boy, okay, one sec. I gotta clean the rim of my bucket, that's not good. Try to make this work anyways. Go for a bit more. Okay, and then I found, I gotta clean that. I use a syringe for this one just so I don't spill it everywhere. Yeah, I did see, I watched that video. I wasn't able to find the exact stuff he did, but I think this is pretty much the same grinding paste. Got the thick and the coarse. I haven't put it on that one yet. I was trying to, this morning I tried polishing it just with the clay, actually, to hope that some of the grog would act as a grinding paste. But yeah, I'll give this a try. Thanks for that. Have you done any slip casting? This is kind of my first slip casting project I've done. Went with the hard one first. But definitely a process, and I like it. Yeah. Yeah. They're a little, yeah, there's a bit of a work. Yeah, with these ones, like I said, I did the design on 3D CAD and then 3D printed that and made the molds of that. Yeah, so it's a bit of a process. I had to learn how to do 3D CAD in the first place, and then all the fun of learning how to make molds too. But as long as you got coddle boards, then that process isn't too bad. And then you just gotta make sure you got good mold release. It's really not fun when they stick after all that work. Yeah, I can show you that. One sec. I've got a reel on my Instagram that kind of shows a bit of the mold making process. So this is a 3D print, and so kind of during the design, I had in mind how many how the mold pulls apart. That's kind of one of the trickier parts of just your design. You got to make sure there's no overhang, so your mold can pull apart without it being locked in by your piece. So 3D printed this, and then basically drew a line down the centerpiece. And then so how did I do this one again? I think made the mold kind of the top first, I think. I forget. Got a video of it. And then the two parts that split apart to kind of pull sideways to get your threading out of there. And then this other piece for the female threading, I had to do in two separate parts. You wouldn't be able to make a mold that would work with threading because it would lock in here. Everything's going to pull straight away. So I did it kind of like this. And then so now you can pull that piece of the mold outwards and then pull the other piece in the other direction. And kind of what I went with. And then lots of using clay to kind of block pieces out while you're making the different parts of the mold. So for instance, with this one, now that I think about it, I think I did the side molds first. So I blocked all this out with clay, kind of everything below the yellow line, and then poured the plaster on top of it. And then once that was hard, then you can flip it the other way, peel off all that clay that you used for kind of masking, and then pour the other piece of your mold, and then there's still masking here, and then I turned it this way, pulled that masking off, and then poured the mold or the plaster on top. So yeah, definitely a bit of gotta put some thought into how you build your molds for sure. I guess just as what's it called? Tip. Murphy's oil works pretty good. Basically 1-to-1 with water, and then you just paint it on any surface that you don't want the plaster to stick to. So when you're doing a multi-part mold, you would kind of paint the surface of your previous piece, so then you can pull them apart. Otherwise, plaster will stick to each other. But yeah, no, having a wheel at home is definitely a lot of fun. Sorry, I'll just check how this is looking. That's still got a ways. Since this is kind of high plastic, it actually dries pretty slow too. When I was using the white clay, I was like proper slip clay. Dry time was only about 20 minutes. This is like 30 minutes to 40 minutes. So I'll probably move on to throwing the base now while we wait. Just gonna dump this out. Oops. Okay. Just gonna clean up a tiny bit here. So just gonna weigh out some clay and wedge it for the body of the mug here. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for the follow. How many have I casted? I did my double wall attempts. Here, I'll go get them. I'll be 1 minute. So my first attempt, I wanted a double wall, and so I actually slip casted the base of it, or like the body of it as well. That was the original plan, so then it could be double walled. I made it way too big. Basically, it's like big and heavy. There's one problem. This one I did use the grinding polish, so it's definitely better. One of the reasons I was trying to avoid it seems like it discolored after I put in the dishwasher, which is not ideal. I guess, I don't know, try washing it off more or something beforehand. But this one, yeah, double walled. So there's kind of an inner wall. Then it's air in between, and then the outer wall. But like I said, that one's huge. And the casting was kind of more cracks than I wanted, trying to do the body and having it lock in the mold and stuff. So I went with the throw-in body, which I'm liking more. And then, so I just did 3 others with the throw-in body. This is one of the other ones. That one I showed you already. One of the other ones, unfortunately, this one cracked along the join for the threads. So it leaks, cracked twice at the join. So it's something I gotta work on. And then I used the white clay body. The color kind of came out cool. This is copper, and it actually turned blue. Same idea as the other one, though. That one I didn't polish at all, so it's real loud. More volume, which I kind of like. But kind of like the form of the other one better. That was so loud. Yeah, so those are kind of 2 that worked mostly. Okay, throw in the body now. So for these, I've been using 750 grams of clay for the body. Try dried out a little bit. I didn't have the bag totally closed. See how it goes. There was some dry bits on the bag, so I just kind of scraped that off. Don't want those in there while I'm throwing. Scale. Oh, a little bit. 100 grams too much. Nice. Need some water. Oh, hey. Oh. Yeah, sorry, I just saw your question now. So I think what happened with the paste is that on that one I didn't smooth the threads out well enough. Wow, this is really hard. Might have to grab some other stuff. Let this one soften. I didn't finish the threads well enough, so they're a little bit rough. So I think some of that paste kind of stuck in the rough bits. And even though I washed it, kind of like Florian Gadsby's videos where lots of soap and water and stuff, I think some of it kind of stuck in little creases. And when it went through the dishwasher, I guess the high heat must have discolored, or maybe it's something totally different. But that was just my thought. And I was going to try these ones without using it to see if the same problem happened. And then also I just generally got to finish those threads, make them smoother. Because if that's getting stuck in there, then potential for kind of other things, I guess. Whoa, this is really hard. Clay bag wasn't totally sealed. Okay, might need to add some more water. Oh, that was a bit of a rookie mistake. Yeah, like how hard it is throwing it probably wouldn't go super well. I just grab some fresher stuff. See how this goes. 1 sec. Do you throw at a studio or do any throwing or hand building or? Should be better now. See, cone it should be fine, I think. Just check our mold before throwing this. Oops. Still pretty hard. It might be. See how that goes. Maybe we'll wedge up one more of wetter stuff just in case that one doesn't work. All right. Nice. Yeah, I learned everything off YouTube, so yeah, a lot of fun. I bought my kiln first because I found, well, I guess got inspired watching the British Pottery Throwdown. It's a great show if you haven't seen it. And then found a kiln, used kiln for $250, and then managed to find a wheel that was almost brand new for a real good price. Just kind of started throwing in the basement, and yeah, I learned everything about throwing from Florian Gadsby's videos, and then various other videos for glazing and stuff like that. I don't know, lots of people online say you have to do a course or go to a studio or whatever, but it's doable. Learn from videos. Oh yeah, that's a good call about mixing the clays. I'll probably, this stuff feels way better. I'm just going to use this. I think I'll throw the other stuff back in the bag to go along with, I'll just add some water to the bag and let it sit for a while. Yeah, $250 was the steal. That's why I couldn't pass it up as a potter in my neighborhood that was moving. She could actually, she's moving and she wanted an automated kiln. So she was selling her manual one that was, I don't know, one from like the 80s or something, and I actually figured out how to automate it using some Python scripting and temperature probes and some relays and stuff. Got some Instagram videos of that too way at the beginning. So yeah, mine's automated. It's kind of a homebrew one. Okay, that was way better. Let's just check our molds here. So, yeah, generally what we're looking for is if you kind of tilt the mold, you can see how thick it is on the edges. And that's kind of how you know that's sat long enough. Once you get the thickness you want, then it's kind of good to pour out, but this one isn't yet. So I'll leave that still. Move on to throwing. Okay, I'll just move the camera for a sec. Oh, one sec. Oh, jeez. I don't usually usually set up for reels, so usually in portrait mode. We'll see how this goes. Let me fix the tripod a little bit. Sorry about this. Actually, that's too much now. Oh, I gotta rearrange things here for sure for next time. Why doesn't that one turn? Oh, it doesn't turn. I think this is. Oh yeah, that kind of works. There we go. A little crooked. Yeah, definitely not used to throwing in landscape here. A sec. Okay. So, yeah, start with throwing this. While we wait for the molds. Set up. Grab some water. Here, 1 second. Let me back this up. Sorry. Let's see. There we go. Better. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I'll be better set up for that next time. Oops. I like using slip for. Oh, I can take my safety glasses off now. Using safety glasses while I was mixing the slip because there's sodium silicate in there, which I imagine is not great for the eyes. I use slip for throwing. I find it dries out slower than just straight water, so just need to mix this up a bit. Start by coning. Whoa, wheels in the wrong direction. I saw Florian Guest. He actually had a good video the other day about coning up and down. Definitely a fundamental thing. Throwing got a lot better once I got the hang of it. Any kind of irregularities definitely make the throwing part harder. Oops. I think it's going to take a couple times for this one. Oops. Just coning up one more time. Probably didn't wedge it as much as I should have. Kind of throwing for a couple weeks now, so a little bit rusty. I think I'll do one more quick cone. Wasn't feeling it. All right, good to go. Yeah, oh yeah, no, that's like, for the longest time, I just threw cylinders and then cut them in half, see how they looked, and then go in the reclaim bucket. Dry out your reclaim again and do it again. Pretty much everything on the wheel starts as a cylinder at some point, so it's definitely where I started. Just making a bunch of cylinders, and then kind of move on to mugs and stuff like that, and little vases. Yeah, I guess just to explain my process here, just centered it. So next part for opening, I don't know, a lot of people do kind of 2 thumbs, but I found I kind of switched to using 2 fingers, partly because I tried throwing off the hump for a while, where that's when you have like a big mound of clay and then you're throwing multiple pieces off of that, and then you no longer have the wheel to help for gauging the depth of how deep you're opening it. And so I found it's easier to gauge that with 2 fingers rather than using my thumbs. So for that, I just basically use 2 fingers and kind of push down in the center. Make sure there's lots of slip or lots of water. This clay is still pretty hard. Coning wasn't going super great. And so I find by using 2 fingers like this, you can use the 3rd finger as a gauge of kind of when it hits the top, then you kind of know where your depth is. And then you can keep it nice and consistent for multiple pieces if that's what you're doing, throwing off the hump or anything like that. Got a little bit of a wobble going on here, but okay. Let's go right for the bottom. Just clean the side a bit. Compress the rim a bit. And then for opening up, kind of do the same thing. Just with 2 fingers, pull straight back. Open that base up to the diameter you want the bottom to be. Sorry if you already know all this. I just find while doing these videos, just talking about what I'm doing helps me rather than just being silent. Okay, so can't really see it. Base is about that much diameter. I'll have to fix my camera setup for next time. Oh. Alright, so I got the bottom diameter about what I want. Feels like right thickness on the bottom. I'll throw. Just gonna press the rim. And then I'm gonna flick on my guide I've got here, laser level. So what this is it gives me the top height that I want to be at. But then also this cross line shows where I want the diameter to be as well. So yeah, next step is kind of pulling the walls up. I might go a little wider on the base. We'll try something different with this one. Don't want to be too wide or it won't fit in my cup holder. But there is going to be quite a bit of shrinkage. This clay shrinks, I think, about 13%. So the slip cast mold counts for that. But just when you're throwing, you got to account for that as well, right? So, okay. Just kind of fixing the inner wall here. Oops. That's great. Okay, I'll throw pull up the walls now. Oh, geez. Sorry, yes. Clay is quite hard, so it'll take a few more pulls than usual, but just go slow and get it. Just getting the water out from the inside. Oh. Sorry, I'm a little rusty. Feel there's definitely a spot in here that I probably should have coned one more time. Right around here, feel there's something wonky going on in the clay. So getting a little bit of a wobble, but should be fine to trim. Alright, I think we gotta check the slip casting for a sec. Just to see if that is ready to at least pour out of the one. I'm not done this, but it can sit for a sec. Just wash my hands. Okay, so just checking our slip cast mold here. see if I can get a little closer. Clay in there. I want to dump this out once the right thickness. Looks like it's about good. So I think you can see me from there, yeah. Got my bucket of slip. And we just pour this upside down. Oh, might be too thick, we'll see. Leave that to let that drain out. I think might have needed, still experimenting on this, might have needed to add some more sodium silicate to that one. That looked a little thick. It might not empty out of the mold evenly. It looked like it's coming out kind of like cookie dough. There might be a big gob on one side. Hopefully not. We'll see. Take a quick peek, actually. Well, it's gonna be thick. Grab some more water. All right, back to this. So I got this laser level. Yeah, I think so. Unfortunately, it's gonna be on the inside, so it's gonna be almost impossible to trim. But we'll see. It'll just be another mug I'll have to keep at home for testing, probably, but we'll get better. So keep making them, right? Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you saw, but I got this laser level as a guide. This horizontal line is kind of the height I want to get to, just to keep it kind of consistent with my other ones. Doesn't matter that much. Height-wise, there's no kind of controlling thing that I need to worry about with the slip casting. The main thing I do need to worry about is the inner diameter. Has to be the same as the inner diameter of the threaded rings, but I've got a caliper for that. So lasers just generally to make sure I'm getting it tall enough. It goes a bit taller, no big deal, but it's much shorter than this. It'll be quite short, so just using it as a guide. So I got a little bit of doing one of these, which is kind of what I want anyways. My hands are dirty, so I won't grab that out of their mug, but kind of like the form, having a tiny bit of a flare, like subtle flare on the bottom, kind of coming in and then coming out. So kind of get a start to that shape with the throwing, just by doing that as you're throwing, and then I don't know, I usually leave it till the end to kind of get dial in the form. And in that case, I usually do a little bit of coloring in on the center and then kind of bringing it up. But this, I'm already pretty close to the shape I want, which is nice. probably do one more pull just to straighten this out. This one's, yeah, not my best work. It's a little heavy, but let's see. Oh yeah. Oh, that's cool that you made candles. Yeah, definitely interesting. Another interesting hobby. I guess one thing I found that really helped by throwing, just a bit of a tip, the inner fingers, or sorry, the inner fingers compared to your outer fingers. When I first started, I would always keep them pretty close together, and then it's more of like pinching the clay. And then so I'd take lots of pulls to get the height I wanted, but I found that kind of having your inner fingers higher than you would, that feels comfortable, has actually helped me a lot in that, because that way your outer finger kind of gets under the clay and you're actually pulling it up rather than just kind of pinching it together. Yeah, I don't know. It's one thing that's helped me. Today wasn't the best example of that. Like I said, a bit rusty today, but usually helps. I gotta switch my sponge on a stick now. Clean out the water on the inside. And then for these ones, since I'm assembling, usually if I was doing a mug or something, I'd probably just call it here and then let it dry for about a day on the bench and then trim it up nicely. But this, since we're doing slip casting, we gotta start attaching pieces and everything. I'm gonna get this as finished as much as I can on the wheel, and then I'll use an air gun if I need to get it closer to the leather hard. Like actually I will need to get it pretty much to leather hard. So then once these pieces are done, we can just get right to assembly and have the thing done rather than trying to time it of like, oh, I'll sit on the bench for 24 hours and then I gotta pour it some time or whatever. So in this case, I feel like it's worth it to use the heat gun and just get everything ready. So I gotta trim this base a little bit. Need some tools. Okay, so let's start with a knife, wood knife. Still be able to do some trimming after I dry it to leather hard. I just want to kind of get a start anyways. Okay. One thing I forgot to do, actually, I've got to check the diameter. So, sec. Okay, I guess what I was getting at before, that inner diameter, these are the pieces that are going to be, this is the 3D print, but this is the pieces that'll be coming out of the mold, and this is the exact same size. So the inner part of our body, like the inner diameter, needs to match the inner diameter of this, because it's pretty hard to fix, because if it's wrong, because it's hard to trim in there, especially when you got all these threads in there. So I want to match that. And any kind of, there will be a difference on the outside diameter, because this was made for the double walled, but that's easy to trim. Anything on the outside's really easy to trim. So just want to match the inside. And then we can just fix the outside with trimming. So just using my caliper here to get that diameter, just make sure it's the right one, and then check here. So it's a little bit wide. So if it's a little bit wide, it'll have the same problem as I had with that brown one, where I'll try to fit the ring on, and then the body's going to be too much out, so then you'll need to kind of push it in, and then you get like this little dent. And I'm going to try to avoid that this time. So we'll just collar a little bit to kind of reduce that diameter. So for collaring, I try to do, you want as many points of contact as you can, so I kind of make this shape, so it's kind of touching here, here, and here. And so I'll also use this to kind of get more of that kind of hourglass shape that I was going for. Just make sure everything's really, want the water on there, don't want your hands sticking. Sometimes you get a bit of a wobble from collaring, because you're like trying to make something, a bigger circle squish smaller, so sometimes it can start distorting it. That seems close. Just trying to fix up this bottom here. It's a little bit wonky. I might need to do another pull to kind of straighten some of this out. Yeah, it's definitely better. That's pretty much bang on now, which is good. Just check profile. It's kind of the profile I was looking for. I wanted flare at the bottom when I come to the top. Sorry, let me see. Yeah, it definitely would be. Yeah, I just need to switch up the way. Yeah, I guess if you made it like so it fit perfectly, so it squishes the rings. that could work. Part of it was I wanted to try slip casting, and I wanted to do something that. Okay, yeah, I'll go back to why I did this. I wanted to try slip casting. I wanted to slip cast something that was like essentially impossible to throw or hand build. I figured no point learning slip casting if I'm just going to do something I can throw. So I figured threads are something that there's no way I could figure out how to do that by throwing or hand building. So I wanted to do something threaded, and then it kind of came down to, well, what would I want threaded? And then I decided on travel mugs. Because I find a lot of travel mugs you see, say online or whatever, people will build like really nice looking travel mug and then they'll put like a plastic lid on it. I don't like that. But then there is some neat ones. I've seen some really cool ones where the lids. Oh, and then the other ones I'm not a huge fan of. If it's just like kind of a flat kind of piece over one side, but still really open. I'm not going to use that in my car if it can still spill everywhere. One that I've seen is really cool. Is they have like a lid on the top that has just the like a big enough hole to drink from, but you push and twist, and then it kind of locks in. And that's pretty neat because then that avoids the threading. You can throw the lid and stuff, so it doesn't need slip casting. Pretty cool design. I forget who it's by. Yeah, got them saved on Instagram. I forget who they are though. I think it's kind of a team effort. Yeah. Okay, so I think this is probably good enough. Oh wait, I was gonna kind of fix it. Sorry. Do kind of one more on the. Actually, I'm not gonna fuss. Yeah, we'll leave it as it is. One thing I do want to do. Oh, one thing I forgot. I forgot to turn on the fan for drying these molds. It'll help. That's going to drain as much. Oh, yeah, that's pretty thick. I need to recast the lid. No biggie. Part's getting the threading in the bottom done today. Okay. I don't want to mess up my precarious camera setup or show you that, but I will once this is done. Just trying to smooth this out a little bit, but can't get my hand in here anymore though. Make sure I didn't mess up the diameter doing that. gotta color it really small, and then we'll dry this and probably do some of the slip trailing while we wait for them. Actually, no, I'll do that after. Okay. Yeah, thanks a lot for joining. Appreciate it. Hello. He's what? Oh. Oh.